Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on life-changing stories. Have you ever felt like you truly knew someone, only for reality to slap you in the face? Get ready, because Clara's story will make you question everything you thought you knew about online dating. Are you absolutely sure this is it? Clara asked the driver, her voice barely a whisper as she stared at the imposing mansion. It loomed against the stormy London sky, a silhouette of Gothic grandeur. He said, a modest place in Cornwall. This isn't modest. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Clutching her small travel bag, Clara stepped out of the black cab, the chill October wind whipping around her. Liam, the man she'd flown halfway across the Atlantic to meet, had described his home as a quaint cottage by the sea. This was anything but. This was an estate, sprawling with perfectly manicured gardens and an ocean view that stole your breath, even on a grim day. Liam? She murmured, checking her phone for the 5th time, convinced she had the wrong address. She, a quiet librarian from a small town in New England, had saved for months for this trip. Liam, through their online messages, had seemed different. Thoughtful, witty, and never once mentioning wealth. He was supposed to be a kindred spirit searching for a simple connection, just like her. She walked towards the ornate oak door. Before her finger even brushed the heavy brass knocker, it swung open. Clara's here, shouted a whirlwind of a boy, no older than 7, who burst out, followed by a smaller girl clinging to his shirt. Clara stumbled back, utterly bewildered. I think there's been a mistake. I'm so sorry. No mistake, chimed a tiny voice from behind the girl. Daddy said you were coming. Suddenly, a parade of 4 more children appeared in the doorway, ranging from toddlers to a curious teenager. All of them stared at her with wide, expectant eyes, as if she were the guest of honor they'd been eagerly awaiting. Where's Liam? Clara finally managed, a cold dread coiling in her stomach. Daddy, Clara's here, the eldest shouted back into the house. Liam appeared, drying his hands on a dish towel. He had the same warm smile as in his photos, but now, Clara noticed something else. A deep weariness, a heavy burden in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Clara, it's wonderful to finally meet you, he said, approaching. Apologies for the enthusiastic welcome. The children are very excited. The children? Clara's gaze snapped back to the 6 beaming faces. Liam, you never mentioned you had children. An uncomfortable silence descended, thick enough to cut with a knife. The 6 children watched them, like an audience enthralled by a live play. Well, it's complicated to explain over texts, Liam stammered, rubbing the back of his neck. I thought it would be better to talk in person. 6 children. Clara counted quickly, her voice rising. You have 6 children? Yes. And a mansion? Yes. And you didn't tell me any of this? Liam sighed, his shoulders slumping. Clara, I understand you're upset, but if I had told you I was a widower with 6 kids, and, well, that I had money, would you have still come? Clara looked at him for a long, agonizing moment. The truth, raw and undeniable, hit her. No, she never would have come. She was looking for simple, quiet, a normal man with a normal life. This was an entirely different universe. A widower? She whispered, the last word catching in her throat. 3 years ago, the children continued to observe, their innocent eyes reflecting her own shock. Clara felt like she was a contestant on a reality show, completely unaware of the script. And they? She gestured to the eager faces. Do they know why I'm here? I told them a very special friend was visiting, Liam explained, a strained smile on his face. And they haven't met many women since their mum passed. The eldest girl, perhaps 12, stepped forward, her eyes wide with hope. Are you going to stay? Clara felt utterly trapped. She had spent her life savings on this trip. Her return flight wasn't for 3 days. And now, here she was, standing before a full family, gazing at her as if she were the answer to all their problems. I don't know, she replied honestly. I don't know any of this. Would you like to come inside? Liam offered, his voice gentle. At least until you decide what to do. Clara looked at her bag, then at the vast house, then at the 6 innocent, curious faces. All right, she said, defeated. But just for today. I'm leaving tomorrow. The children erupted in cheers and rushed inside, their joy echoing through the grand hall. Liam looked at Clara with a sad, hopeful smile. Thank you for giving me a chance to explain. A chance? Clara repeated, her voice flat. Just one. As she stepped into the echoing mansion, Clara couldn't help but wonder what on earth she had gotten herself into. She had come seeking a simple romance, and instead, she had found an entire family in desperate need of something she wasn't sure she could give. What would you do if you were in Clara's shoes? Would you stay, or would you run? Tell us in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales. Clara woke in a room she didn't recognize. For a fleeting moment, panic seized her. Then, the opulent, unfamiliar ceiling, the subtle scent of old wood and something vaguely floral, and the memory of Liam's 6 children, flooded back. She'd somehow fallen asleep after an awkward dinner where everyone, it seemed, had watched her eat with an almost unsettling intensity. She glanced at her phone. 6 a.m. Her flight was tomorrow. Today was her last day here, and after that, she'd never see Liam or his chaotic household again. A gentle knock on the door broke her reverie. Clara? It was the eldest girl's voice. Isabella. Are you awake? Yes, come in. Isabella, holding a small tray, tiptoed inside. I brought you coffee. Dad says Americans drink a lot of coffee. Thank you. What's your name again? Isabella. I'm 12. She settled herself on the edge of the bed. Are you really leaving today? Clara took a sip of the coffee. It was perfect. Yes, my flight's tomorrow. Why? Don't you like us? Isabella's direct question caught Clara off guard. It's not that, Isabella. It's just, your dad didn't tell me the truth about his life, and I'm not ready for this. For what? For a family. For 6 children. For all of this. Isabella nodded, as if she understood perfectly. Dad's been sad ever since Mum died. The little ones sometimes cry at night. Thomas still asks when Mum's coming back. She paused. But yesterday, when you arrived, we were all so happy. Dad hasn't smiled like that in ages. Clara didn't know how to respond. Do you want to come down for breakfast with us? Isabella asked, her voice soft. The little ones are being very loud downstairs. Clara got dressed and headed to the kitchen. The scene that greeted her left her speechless. Liam was attempting to make breakfast for 6 children simultaneously. Spilled milk, burnt toast, and 2 little ones crying because they wanted different cereals. It was a disaster zone. Clara! The youngest, Thomas, shrieked, running towards her. Good morning, Clara said, surveying the delightful pandemonium. Sorry about the mess. Liam apologized, wiping milk off the floor. Mornings are complicated. I can help. Liam looked at her, surprised. Really? Clara nodded. She wasn't sure why, but the chaos felt strangely familiar. At her library in Boston, she managed 20 clamoring children during story time every day. In 15 minutes, Clara had brought order to the kitchen. Each child had their preferred breakfast. The table was clean, and everyone was seated, eating in relative silence. How did you do that? Liam asked, utterly impressed. I work with children, Clara replied simply. They need routine and clear boundaries. You work with children? Isabella asked. What do you do? I'm a librarian, Clara explained. I run story time and teach kids about books. Cool, one of the boys exclaimed. Can you help me find a cool book for my report? After breakfast, Clara responded automatically. Liam watched her, an unreadable expression on his face. After breakfast, Clara offered to make lunch. Liam protested, but she insisted. She wanted to do something before she left. She cooked for 8 people for the first time in her life. In her small apartment, she always cooked for 1. But here, chopping vegetables for a large salad, making enough rice for everyone, preparing meat for 8. It felt strange, yet undeniably good. Lunch was chaotic but joyful. The children all talked at once. They laughed, bickered over the salt, and told terrible jokes. Clara found herself laughing more than she had in months. "Clara?" Thomas, the youngest, asked. "Can you sit next to me tomorrow too?" Silence fell over the table. Everyone remembered that Clara was leaving tomorrow. "Thomas," Liam began, but Clara interrupted. "It's okay. I won't be here tomorrow, Thomas." "Why?" the boy asked, his eyes welling up with tears. Clara looked around the table. 6 innocent faces stared back. Liam's gaze was fixed on his plate. "Why?" "Because I live in America, and you all live here. But you could live here too," Isabella suggested, her voice earnest. "It's not that easy, Isabella." After lunch, Clara helped clean up. The children disappeared to play, and she found herself alone with Liam in the kitchen. "Thank you," he said, "for everything. For helping, for cooking, for making it feel like a normal family again. Doesn't it always feel like this?" Liam shook his head. "Since Helena died, it's been chaos. I work, the kids go to school, we eat, we sleep. But it doesn't feel like a family. Feels like survival." Clara understood. Her own life had been a lot of survival and little joy. "Liam, I have to ask you something." "Go on. Why didn't you tell me the truth from the beginning?" Liam leaned against the sink. "Because I'm tired, Clara. Tired of being the widower with 6 children. Tired of women seeing me as a charity project or someone with too much baggage. I just wanted to meet someone who saw me as Liam, not as a complicated situation." Clara nodded. She understood that too. "Can I ask you a question?" Liam asked. "Of course. Will you stay one more day? Just to truly see what this is like. No lies, no surprises. Just the truth." Clara considered it. Her flight was tomorrow, but she could change it. She had vacation days saved up. "One more day," she finally said. "But after that, I'm leaving. This isn't what I came looking for." Liam nodded. But for the first time since she'd arrived, Clara saw a flicker of hope in his eyes. A glimmer of hope. Clara woke to the sound of laughter echoing in the hallway. Her second day at Liam's house was beginning differently. She no longer felt like a complete stranger. "Clara?" Thomas tapped softly on the door. "Can you help me get dressed?" Clara opened the door to find the 5-year-old with his shirt inside out and his shoes on the wrong feet. "Of course, come here." As she helped him, Thomas chattered nonstop. "Yesterday I dreamt you stayed forever and taught me how to make paper airplanes like Isabella's, but better, and also that you'd make those yummy pancakes again, and that you'd play football with me, even if you're not very good. But it doesn't matter because you're pretty." Clara laughed. "Breathe, Thomas. Do you always talk so much in the mornings?" "Dad says I have a word motor." They went down to breakfast together. Liam was already in the kitchen, but this time, there was no chaos. He had followed the system Clara had established the day before. "Good morning," Liam said. "Sleep well." "Yes, though Thomas has a lot of energy for 7 in the morning." During breakfast, the children told her their plans for the day. Did they have classes, sports, homework? Liam worked from home on Tuesdays, so he'd be around. "What do you do for work?" Clara asked. It felt strange realizing how little she knew about the man who had invited her to his country. "I have an export business," Liam replied simply. "Fruits, mostly. From here to America, actually." After the older children left for school and the younger ones went off to play, Clara found herself alone with Liam for the first time. "Want to see the house?" he offered. For real this time, no surprises. They walked through the gardens. The house was beautiful, but Clara noticed details she'd overlooked before. Forgotten toys in corners, children's drawings taped to expensive walls, food stains on elegant sofas. "Helena decorated all of this," Liam explained, gesturing to the furniture. "She had excellent taste. I've never changed anything." "What was she like?" Liam paused by a window overlooking the ocean. "She was everything I'm not. Spontaneous, funny, loud." The children inherited that from her. He smiled sadly. I'm more serious, quieter. Helena filled the house with life. How did she die? Cancer. It was fast. 8 months from diagnosis. The children barely had time to process it. Clara felt a knot in her stomach. I'm so sorry. The first 2 years were very hard. I didn't know how to be a dad and a mom at the same time. I hired help, but it never worked out. The kids didn't want strangers in the house. He looked at her. Until yesterday, with you it was different. Why do you think it was different? I don't know. Maybe because you didn't try to replace Helena. You just helped. That afternoon, Clara helped the children with their homework. Each had different needs. Isabella was brilliant but a perfectionist, easily frustrated. David, 10, struggled with concentration. The 8-year-old twins, Amy and Leo, constantly competed with each other. Sophie, 6, was shy and needed a lot of encouragement. And Thomas just wanted attention. How do you know what each of them needs? Liam asked, watching her work. It's my job, Clara replied. Every child is different. You just have to pay attention. That night, after the children were in bed, Clara and Liam sat on the terrace with coffee. Can I ask you something personal? Liam said. Of course. Why don't you have children? Clara took a moment to respond. I never found the right person. And then time just passed me by. I'm 35. It's not impossible, but it's not easy either. Did you want children? Yes. I always thought I'd have a family. She shrugged. Life doesn't always go as planned. No, it doesn't, Liam agreed. I thought Helena and I would grow old together, that we'd see our grandchildren grow up. I never thought I'd be raising 6 children alone. You're not alone. You have help, you have money. Money doesn't hug the children when they have nightmares, Liam interrupted. Money doesn't know what to say when Thomas asks why his mum died. Clara nodded. She understood that kind of loneliness, even if hers was different. Can I ask you something? Clara said. Of course. Were you really looking for love on that app? Or were you looking for help? Liam looked at her directly. At first, help. I was desperate. But when we started messaging, when I read your messages about your work, your students, your life, I started looking for something more. What? Companionship. Someone to share this with. He gestured towards the house. Not just the burden, but the joy too. Clara remained silent, processing his words. For the first time in a long time, she felt needed. Not as a librarian, but as a woman, as a person. Liam, I have to be honest with you. Tell me. This scares me. Your life, your children, all of this. It's enormous. And me, I live in a tiny apartment with a cat. I know nothing about big families. I know. And I'm not asking you to decide anything now. Just consider staying a bit longer. Truly get to know what this is like before you decide. Clara looked out at the ocean. In Boston, her life was predictable, safe, lonely. Here, everything was chaotic, uncertain, full of life. One more day, she finally said. But I have to change my flight again. Liam smiled. Thank you. That night, when Clara went to sleep, she found a drawing slipped under her door. It was from Sophie. A house with 8 stick figures. Complete family. For the first time, Clara allowed herself to imagine what it would be like to stay. Clara awoke at 5 in the morning to the sound of crying. It wasn't the usual whimper of a child with a nightmare. It was different, sharper, more desperate. She quickly got out of bed and rushed into the hallway. Liam was already there, in his pajamas, holding Thomas. He's got a fever, Liam said, his voice laced with worry. And Amy's warm too. Clara touched Thomas's forehead. It was burning. Do you have a thermometer? Yes, in the medicine cabinet. In the next few minutes, they discovered that 3 of the children had high fevers. Thomas, Amy, and Sophie. The other 3 were fine but scared. Is it normal for them to get sick like this? Clara asked, helping Liam give medicine to Amy. No. Well, yes, they do catch things from each other, but not this bad. Liam looked exhausted. I think it's a virus. It's going around school. You have to work today, don't you? I have an important video conference, but I can cancel. Don't cancel, Clara interrupted. I'll stay with them. Liam looked at her, surprised. Clara, you don't have to do that. It's not your responsibility. I know, but I'm here and you need to work. Over the next few hours, Clara transformed into a makeshift nurse. She took temperatures, administered medicine, made soup, and changed sweaty sheets. The sick children were irritable and tearful. The healthy ones were bored and demanding. Clara! Isabella shouted from the kitchen. Leo and David are fighting. Clara! Sophie cried from her room. I want water. Clara! Thomas wailed. My tummy hurts. For a moment, Clara felt completely overwhelmed. In her apartment in Boston, when she got sick, she'd stay in bed with tea and Netflix. Here, illness was a family event that required military-level coordination. Liam appeared in the kitchen during a break from his meeting. How are they? Alive, Clara responded, serving chicken broth to Amy. The fever's coming down a bit, but Amy threw up an hour ago. Clara, I can call my assistant. Can she come help? No, Clara said firmly. We're fine. Finish your meeting. That night was long. Clara slept on the living room sofa to be near the sick children. Liam slept in Thomas's room. They took turns checking temperatures every 2 hours. At 3 in the morning, Clara found Liam in the kitchen making more tea. You can't sleep either, she observed. When they're sick, I don't sleep. Helena always said I was paranoid. He shrugged. But I can't help it. It's not paranoia. It's being a dad. They sat at the kitchen table, exhausted. Clara, can I tell you something? Liam asked. Of course. Today, I saw something I haven't seen in 3 years. What? A mother taking care of my children. Clara felt a lump in her throat. Liam. No, let me finish. I'm not trying to pressure you. But today, seeing how you cared for Amy when she was sick, how you sang to Thomas when he cried, how you organized everything so the other children didn't feel forgotten. It was like seeing Helena all over again. I'm not Helena. No, you're not Helena. You're Clara. And that's okay too. Clara was silent. The exhaustion made her emotional, vulnerable. You know what's the strangest thing? She finally said. What? That it doesn't feel like I'm taking care of strangers' children. It feels natural. Liam nodded. The children feel it too. Thomas told me today you smell like mummy hug. Clara chuckled softly. Like what? Like mummy hug. You know, like a mum's embrace. It's his way of saying you feel safe. The next day, the children were better. But Clara was utterly exhausted. 2 nights without sleep. The stress of caring for sick children, the emotional intensity of the past few days, all caught up to her at once. Clara? Liam found her sitting on the terrace, staring at the ocean. Are you okay? I'm tired, she admitted. Very tired. Go get some sleep. I'll take care of everything. It's not just physical tiredness, Liam. He sat down beside her. What is it? I'm confused. 5 days ago, I didn't know these children, and now I worry about them as if they were my own. That's not normal. Why isn't it normal? Because they're not mine. Clara burst out. I have my life in Boston. I have my job, my apartment, my routines. I can't just stay here and play mum. Liam was silent for a moment. Is that what you think you're doing? Playing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Clara, look at me. She met his gaze. Do you think what you felt last night when Thomas had a fever was fake? Do you think your concern for Amy was a game? No, but then you're not playing. You're feeling. And it's okay to feel. Even if it's confusing. Clara stood up. I think I need time to think. Away from here. Away from all of you. Are you leaving? Yes. I'm going to change my flight for tomorrow. This is too intense. Liam nodded sadly. I understand. Will you tell the children? Yes. I'll tell them you had to go back to work. Clara headed towards the house, but then stopped. Liam. Yes. Thank you for these days. For showing me what this is like. But I can't. I can't confuse compassion with love. Are you sure it's just compassion? Clara didn't reply. She went up to her room and closed the door. For the first time in days, silence completely enveloped her. And she realized she didn't like the silence as much as she used to. Clara woke feeling strange. Her head was heavy, and chills ran through her, but she attributed it to lack of sleep. She'd spent the night awake, alternating between packing and pacing her room. Her flight departed in 6 hours. She got up to shower, but her legs trembled. She sat back on the bed, dizzy. No, 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 she murmured. Not today. A soft knock sounded at the door. Clara? It was Liam's voice. Are you awake? Breakfast is ready. Clara tried to stand again. This time, nausea hit her like a wave. Liam, she managed. I think I'm sick. The door opened immediately. Liam entered and saw her pale, trembling. You have a fever, he said, touching her forehead. The same virus the children had. But I have to go. My flight. Your flight can wait. Get back in bed now. Clara wanted to protest, but she felt too ill to argue. Liam helped her lie down and brought her a thermometer. 39 degrees, he read. It's high. I'll get you some medicine. In the next few minutes, Clara experienced something completely new. Being cared for. Liam brought her water, medicine, a cold compress for her forehead. He did it with the same patience and tenderness she had seen when he cared for his children. Don't you have to work? Clara asked weakly. Not today, Liam replied. Today, I'm taking care of you. Throughout the morning, the children came to see her one by one. Isabella brought her tea. David lent her his favorite stuffed animal so she wouldn't feel alone. The twins made her drawings. Sophie sat by the bed and read her a story in a quiet voice. Thomas brought her all his Pokemon cards. Because they're good luck. Why are they being so sweet to me? Clara asked Liam when he came to check her temperature. Because yesterday you took care of them when they were sick. Now they're taking care of you. That's how a family works. The word family resonated in Clara's feverish mind. That afternoon, as she rested, she heard whispers outside her door. Is she going to die like Mum? It was Thomas's voice. No, silly, Isabella replied. Mum had cancer. Clara just has the flu. But if she dies, does she go to heaven too? Clara's not going to die, Liam's firm voice intervened. And besides, she's flying back to America tomorrow. Remember. Silence. Does she have to go? Amy asked. Yes, my love. Clara has her life there. But can she visit us? I don't know, Amy. That depends on Clara. Clara closed her eyes, pretending to be asleep. For the first time in her adult life, other people depended emotionally on her outside of work, and the thought of hurting them made her feel worse than the fever. That night, Liam slept in a chair beside her bed. Clara woke several times and saw him there, watching over her even when he slept. Liam, she whispered during one of those times. What do you need? Water? Medicine? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking care of me? Why? Because I love you, Clara. The words fell into the silence like stones in still water. Liam, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know before you left. How can you love me? You've known me for a week. Time doesn't always matter. Sometimes you just know. Clara felt tears in her eyes, and it wasn't from the fever. This is so complicated. I know. I'm scared. I know. I don't know if I can be what your children need. You don't have to be anything specific. You just have to be you. The next day, Clara felt physically better, but emotionally, she was a mess. Her original flight had passed. She'd have to buy a new one. Liam appeared at the door with breakfast. How are you feeling? Better. Confused, but better. He sat on the bed while she ate. Clara, I have to tell you something. What? Yesterday, when you were very sick, Thomas asked me if you were going to die. And when I told him you weren't, he asked if you could stay forever. What did you tell him? I told him it depended on you. But then I thought, maybe I've never clearly told you what I want. Clara stopped eating. Clara, I want you to stay. Not as a guest. Not as temporary help. I want you to stay as part of this family. As my partner. As well as whatever you want to be for the children. What if it doesn't work? What if I make a mistake? What if I hurt the children? What if it does work? What if you don't make a mistake? What if you make them happy? Like you already are. Clara was silent for a long moment. I need time to think. I know. That's why I won't pressure you. He stood up. You can stay as long as you need to decide. No pressure. No expectations. And if I decide to leave? Liam smiled sadly. Then I'll help you pack and take you to the airport. And you'll always be welcome here. After Liam left, Clara sat looking out the window. Downstairs, the children were playing in the garden. Their laughter floated up to her room like music. For the first time in her life, Clara had to decide between the safety of the known and the uncertainty of the unknown. And for the first time, the unknown didn't scare her as much. Clara closed her suitcase with a definitive click. After 3 days of intense thought, she had made her decision. She was leaving. It was the logical choice, she repeated to herself, as she double-checked that she hadn't forgotten anything. She had her job in Boston, her apartment, her perfectly ordered life. She couldn't simply abandon everything for a man she'd known for 10 days and 6 children who weren't hers. She picked up her phone and dialed Liam's number. Clara? Are you okay? Yes. Can you come up for a moment? I'm ready. Liam arrived in her room in less than 2 minutes. He saw the suitcase by the door and nodded slowly. Are you sure? Yes. She was lying. She wasn't sure of anything, but she had to go before she got even more confused. Did you tell the children? I told them you had to go back to work. They didn't want to eat breakfast this morning. Isabella cried. Clara felt a sharp pang in her chest. Isabella cried? She grew very fond of you. They all did. Liam, please don't make this harder. I'm not trying to make it hard. I'm just telling you the truth. Clara took her suitcase. Can you take me to the airport? Of course. They went downstairs in silence. In the living room, the 6 children sat on the sofa like it was a hospital waiting room. All of them looked at her with sad faces. Well, Clara said, trying to sound cheerful, I have to go now. Thomas ran to her and hugged her tightly. Don't go, Clara. I have to go, Thomas. I have to work. But are you coming back? Clara looked at Liam, who shrugged as if to say, answer what you feel. I don't know, Thomas. One by one, the children came to say goodbye. Isabella was last. Clara, can I tell you something privately? Of course. They moved away from the group. I know you're leaving because you're scared, Isabella whispered. I get scared sometimes too. After Mom died, I was scared Dad would die too and we'd be all alone. Isabella. But then I understood that fear doesn't go away if you run. It only goes away if you face what scares you. Clara knelt down to Isabella's height. What do you think scares me? That you'll love us. And then something bad will happen. Like what happened with Mom. The 12-year-old's words hit her like a punch. That was exactly it. She was afraid to love and lose, to build a family and have it shattered. You're very smart, Isabella. Mom always said that love is worth it, even if it hurts sometimes. Clara hugged Isabella tightly. Take care of your dad, okay? And your siblings. Do you promise you'll write to us? I promise. The drive to the airport was silent. Liam put on soft music and drove slowly, as if he didn't want the journey to end. Clara? Yes. Can I ask you something? Of course. If you weren't scared, what would you do? Clara took a moment to reply. I don't know. Yes, you do. They arrived at the airport. Liam helped her with her suitcase to the entrance. Well, he said, I guess this is goodbye. I guess so. They stood there, unsure how to say farewell. Finally, Liam hugged her. Thank you for these days, Clara. For helping with the children. For reminding me what it feels like to have a complete family. Thank you too. For everything. They separated. Clara took her suitcase and walked towards the airport entrance. She didn't turn to look at Liam. If she did, she knew she wouldn't be able to leave. She checked in, went through security, and arrived at her gate. The flight departed in 2 hours. She sat down and took out her phone to tell her sister she was at the airport. But instead of texting her sister, she found herself looking at the photos she had taken at Liam's house. The children cooking with her, Thomas sleeping in her arms when he had a fever, Isabella teaching her to play cards, the full table during lunch. "Miss," a voice interrupted her. It was a flight attendant. "Yes? Are you all right? You're crying." Clara touched her face. It was wet with tears. "Yes, I'm fine. Just difficult goodbyes." The flight attendant smiled sympathetically. "Family?" Clara thought about the question. They were family. Not by blood, not legally. But, yes, she replied. Family. She sat there, looking out the airport window. Other passengers arrived, said goodbye, hugged. Real families sang temporary farewells, promising reunions. Her phone rang. A text message from an unknown number. "Clara, it's Isabella. I took Dad's phone. We miss you already. The house is very quiet without you. Dad's sad, but he says we have to respect your decision. I think your decision is wrong. But we love you anyway. ISA." Clara read the message 3 times. Then, another arrived. "Clara, it's David. Dad's cooking, and everything's burning again. Could you come back just to cook? Haha. Seriously, we miss you." Then another. "Clara, it's Amy. I can't write well, but Isabella helped me. Please come back. Thomas cried when you left." Clara stood up abruptly. People around her looked at her strangely. "Excuse me," she said to no one in particular. I have to go." She rushed towards the exit, dragging her suitcase. A security guard stopped her. "Madam, if you leave now, you'll miss your flight." "I know," Clara replied without stopping. "That's the point." She ran out of the airport and hailed the first taxi she found. "Where to?" the driver asked. Clara gave him Liam's address. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought it would burst out of her chest. "Can you go faster?" she urged. "It's an emergency." "Medical emergency?" Clara smiled for the first time in hours. "Heart emergency." The taxi stopped in front of Liam's house. Clara quickly paid and got out with her suitcase. It was 7 in the evening, and she could see lights on in the windows. For a moment, she stood at the entrance, breathing deeply. What was she going to say? How was she going to explain that she had changed her mind in 2 hours? She walked towards the front door, but before she knocked, she heard voices inside. "Dad, the food's burnt again," Isabella was saying. I know. We'll order pizza." "But Clara made better food," David complained. "Let's not talk about Clara anymore," Liam said, his voice tired. "She left because that was her decision, and we have to respect it." "But why did she leave if we loved her?" Sophie's small voice asked. Liam took a moment to reply. "Sometimes, my loves, wanting isn't enough. Sometimes people need different things." "What did Clara need that we couldn't give her?" Amy asked. "Security, I suppose. Her old life, things she knows." "But we loved her so much," Thomas insisted. "Doesn't that count?" Clara felt tears in her eyes. She rang the doorbell before she lost her courage. The noises inside stopped, then quick footsteps approached the door. Liam opened it, and his expression shifted from expectation to total surprise. "Clara? Hello." Behind Liam, 6 curious heads appeared. When they saw her, they all shouted at once. "Clara, you're back. I knew you'd come back. We told you not to go." The children rushed towards her, hugging her all at once. Clara laughed and cried at the same time, overwhelmed by their affection. Easy, she said, trying to hug them all. Liam was still standing at the door, staring at her as if she were a ghost. "Did you miss your flight?" he finally asked. "No," Clara replied. "I left my flight." "What?" Clara straightened up, the children still clinging to her. "I left my flight, Liam. I decided not to go." "Why?" Clara looked directly into his eyes. "Because I realized I was running from something I want, instead of running towards something I need." Liam slowly approached. And what do you want? This, Clara said, gesturing to the children, to him, to the house. This family. This crazy, complicated, beautiful life. Are you sure? Because 2 hours ago, you were sure of the opposite. I was sure I was scared. Now I'm sure that fear isn't a good enough reason to run. Isabella broke free from the group hug. Does that mean you're going to stay forever? Clara looked at Liam, then at all the children. If your dad lets me, and if you all want me here, yes, I'm staying. The children cheered with joy. Liam stepped closer and took Clara's hands. What happened at the airport? I got messages from the children, and I realized that, for the first time in my life, I have a family who loves me and who I love too. She wiped away her tears. I realized I don't want to be alone anymore. And your job? Your apartment. I can teach here too. And my apartment, well, it was just a place I slept. This feels like a home. Liam kissed her softly while the children made EW noises and giggled. Are you sure? Liam whispered. Because if you stay now, I don't think I can let you go again. I don't want you to let me go, Clara replied. I want to stay. I want to try. I want to see if we can be a family. We are a family, Thomas said, hugging Clara's legs. Since you arrived. Forever home. That night, after the children were in bed, after much insistence from them that Clara stay for a bedtime story, Clara and Liam sat on the terrace. What are you thinking about? Liam asked. That 2 weeks ago I was Clara Davies, a single librarian from Boston, and now what am I now? You're Clara. Only now you're Clara who belongs somewhere. Do I belong here? What do you think? Clara looked towards the house, where 6 children slept peacefully, knowing she would be there in the morning. I think so. For the first time in my life, I think I belong somewhere. And you're not scared? I am scared, Clara admitted. But I'm more scared of living without this than of living with this. Liam nodded. You know what Isabella told me today after you left? What? She said that the best things in life are scary at first, like riding a bike or swimming or falling in love. Isabella is very wise. She's like her mum in that. Clara took Liam's hand. Do you think Helena would have approved of this? Liam smiled. I think Helena would have been the first to tell you not to be so silly and to stay. Silly. Silly for thinking you don't deserve to be happy. Silly for thinking you can't love children who aren't biologically yours. Silly for thinking a family has to be formed in only one way. Clara leaned her head on Liam's shoulder. And now, what's next? Now we live one day at a time. No rush, no pressure. Just live. What if I make a mistake? What if I'm not good at this? Then we make mistakes together, and we learn together. Clara closed her eyes, listening to the sounds of the night and the distant ocean. For the first time in years, the future didn't scare her. It felt like coming home after a very long journey. 6 months later, Clara woke to the familiar sound of children arguing over the bathroom. She smiled before opening her eyes. Now that morning chaos was music to her ears. Thomas, you've been in there for 20 minutes, David yelled from the hallway. No, I haven't. Only 5. Clara got up and put on her robe. Liam was no longer in bed. He had surely gone down to prepare breakfast. Good morning, family, Clara said, appearing in the hallway. Clara! Thomas ran out of the bathroom. David says I'm going to go bald if I wash my hair so much. David's just jealous because your hair is prettier than his, Clara responded, ruffling Thomas's hair. The past few months had been a roller coaster of emotions. Not everything had been easy. The children had to get used to having a maternal figure again, and Clara had to learn to be part of a large family. There were difficult moments, like when Amy had a nightmare and cried for her biological mum, and Clara didn't know what to do, or when Isabella yelled at her during an argument. You're not my mum. And Clara locked herself in the bathroom to cry. But there were also beautiful moments, like when Sophie spontaneously told her I love you for the first time, or when the twins chose her to go with them to parent-teacher conferences because Clara understands math better than Dad. How did you sleep? Liam asked when Clara arrived in the kitchen. Well, you? Well, too. They had developed domestic routines without even planning them. Liam made the coffee. Clara prepared the school lunches. He handled math homework. She helped with language and history. On weekends, they cooked together while the children played in the garden. They hadn't gotten married yet. They hadn't made grand promises about the future. They were simply living day by day, building something solid with patience. "Clara," Isabella said, appearing in the kitchen. "Can you sign this?" It was a school permission slip for a field trip. "Shouldn't your dad sign it? It says parents or guardians can sign." "You're my guardian." Clara looked at Liam, who nodded, smiling. "All right," Clara said, signing the paper. Those small moments had become natural. Clara took the children to the doctor, went to school meetings, organized birthday parties. Not because Liam asked her to, but because it had become part of her routine of her life. "Dad," David asked during breakfast, "is Clara our stepmom?" Liam almost choked on his coffee. "Why do you ask that?" "Because my friend Simon says that since Clara isn't our blood mum, she's our stepmom. But in stories, stepmoms are evil, and Clara isn't evil." "Stories sometimes lie," Clara replied. "Not all stepmoms are evil." "So you are our stepmom," Amy insisted. Clara looked at Liam for help. "Clara is Clara," Liam said. "She doesn't need a specific label. She's the person who loves us, and whom we love. That's what's important." The children seemed satisfied with that answer and continued eating breakfast. But Clara kept thinking about the conversation. That night, after putting the children to bed, Clara and Liam sat in their favorite spot, the terrace overlooking the ocean. "What are you thinking about?" Liam asked. "What the children said today. About the labels." "Does it bother you not to have a label, Clara?" Clara took a moment to reply. "Sometimes. I'm not their biological mother, but I'm not just a girlfriend who lives here either. I'm something in between." "Does that make you uncomfortable?" "Not uncomfortable. Just confused sometimes." Clara took Liam's hand. "Do you think the children see me as a mother? Do you see them as your children?" "Yes," Clara replied without hesitation. "I love them as if they were my own." "Then you have your answer." Over the next few weeks, Clara noticed small changes. The children had stopped asking Liam for permission for everything and now asked either of them. When they got hurt, they ran to whoever was closest, not specifically to Liam. In stores, salespeople automatically assumed Clara was the mother. One day Clara was helping Sophie with her homework when the girl asked, "Clara, why do you never ask us to call you Mum?" The question caught her by surprise. "Because you already had a mum. I don't want to take her place." "But you could be our second mum." "Second mum?" "Yes. The first mum gave us life, but she went to heaven. The second mum takes care of us now." Sophie looked at her with serious eyes. "Do you want to be our second mum?" Clara felt tears in her eyes. "Would you like me to be your second mum?" "Yes, we all want that." That night Clara told Liam about the conversation. "How do you feel about it?" he asked. I feel like I've finally found my place in the world." Liam hugged her. "The children will never ask you to replace Helena, but they are ready for you to be their present and their future. And you? Are you ready for that too?" Liam kissed her softly. "I've been ready for months, Clara. I was just waiting for you to be ready too." As they held each other under the stars, Clara realized that true love doesn't always come in the way you expect. Sometimes it comes as a blind date that turns into a family. Sometimes it arrives gradually, building day by day in small gestures of affection. And sometimes it simply arrives exactly when you need it most. 3 years later, Clara adjusted her navy blue dress and checked her reflection in the car mirror. Her hands trembled slightly, but not from nerves. It was pure emotion. "Are you ready?" Liam asked, taking her hand. "More than ready." They were sitting in the parking lot of the University of Exeter's auditorium. Inside, Isabella was graduating as the top student in her education program. At 18, she had decided to follow in Clara's footsteps and become a teacher. "Do you think she's nervous?" Clara asked. "Isabella never gets nervous," Liam replied. She's like you in that. They walked towards the auditorium, where the other 5 were waiting. David, now 13, was wearing a tie for the first time in his life and complaining constantly. The twins, Amy and Leo, 11, carried balloons in the university colors. Sophie, 9, had a camera and had promised to take 1,000 photos. Thomas, 8, carried a handmade sign that read, "Congrats, big sister. Is she here yet? Is it starting yet?" Thomas asked for the 5th time. "Almost, my love," Clara replied, straightening his shirt. In these 3 years, many things had changed. Clara had found a job at a local school and had become one of the most beloved teachers. Liam had expanded his business and now exported British produce across Europe. The children had grown, had changed, but remained the same noisy, loving family. And Clara had found her place in the world. The year before, finally, they had gotten married. It was a small ceremony at the house, with only the closest family. Clara wore a simple dress, and the children were her only attendants. When the officiant asked if anyone objected to the union, Thomas shouted, "I object to you taking so long." Everyone laughed, including the officiant. Now Clara was officially Clara Davies Miller, though to the children, she had always been simply Clara or, in special moments, Mum Clara. The graduation ceremony began. Clara and Liam sat in the front row with the 5 children. When Isabella was announced as the student with the highest grades, the whole family cheered and clapped as if they had won the World Cup. But the most emotional moment came when Isabella was invited to give the farewell speech for her graduating class. She walked elegantly to the podium, dressed in her cap and gown. Clara felt pride swelling in her chest. This girl, whom she had met as a scared 12-year-old, was now a confident, brilliant young woman. Fellow graduates, families, professors, Isabella began in a clear voice. Today we end one stage of our lives and begin another. But before talking about the future, I want to talk about the past. Clara felt Liam take her hand. 6 years ago, my family went through a very difficult time. We had lost our mother, and it seemed like we would never be a complete family again. My dad did his best, but we were 6 children with many emotional needs. Clara felt tears forming in her eyes. One day, a woman from America arrived at our house. Her name was Clara, and she came to meet my dad on a blind date. She had no idea she was going to find 6 traumatized children and a house full of chaos. Gentle laughter rippled through the auditorium. Clara could have left immediately. In fact, she tried several times. But something made her stay. It wasn't pity for us. It wasn't obligation. It wasn't pressure from my dad. It was love. True love, the kind that chooses to stay when it would be easier to leave. Clara could no longer hold back the tears. Clara never asked us to call her mum. She never tried to replace our biological mother, but she taught us something our mum in heaven would have wanted us to learn. That a family is not formed only by blood, but by choice. Clara chose us and we chose her. The auditorium was completely silent. Today I graduate as a teacher, and that is thanks to Clara. She taught me that educating is not just transmitting knowledge, but loving children enough to believe in their potential. She taught me that being a mother does not require having given birth, but giving unconditional love day after day. Isabella looked directly towards where her family was sitting. Clara, I know you're down there crying because you always cry at these important events. Laughter from the audience. I want you to know that you are not our stepmom. You are not our second mum. You are not a substitute. You are our mum, Clara. Period. And all 6 of us love you exactly as you are. Clara was openly sobbing now. Liam handed her tissues while the other children hugged her from their seats. To my fellow graduates, I say, look for people who choose you every day, not just once. Look for families that are built with love, not just with tradition. And remember that the best things in life sometimes come when we least expect them. Isabella paused and smiled. Thank you, Mum Clara, for teaching us that true love isn't afraid to stay. The auditorium erupted in applause. Clara stood up from her seat, crying and applauding at the same time. Liam hugged her, and the 5 children joined the group hug in the middle of the auditorium. After the ceremony, As they walked towards the car, Thomas took Clara's hand. "Mum, Clara, are you happy?" Clara looked around her. Liam carried Sophie on his shoulders. David and the twins argued about where to go for dinner. Isabella walked proudly with her diploma. Her family, her life, her home. "Yes, my love," Clara replied. "I'm very, very happy." And for the first time in her life, Clara Davies Miller knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she belonged. At home with her family forever. Were you as moved as we were by Clara and the Miller family's story? This beautiful tale shows us that true love doesn't always arrive as we expect it, but sometimes appears in the most unexpected moments and in the most surprising ways. Clara teaches us that forming a family goes far beyond blood ties. It's about choosing to stay, loving unconditionally, and building a home with patience and dedication, day after day. If this story touched your heart as it touched ours, don't forget to like this video and share it with that special person who needs to hear that it's never too late to find their place in the world. Comment below what part of the story moved you the most. Was it when Clara decided to return from the airport, the moment the children accepted her as their second mum, or perhaps Isabella's emotional speech? And if you want to keep enjoying stories that feed the soul, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any. Oh, and tell us, from what country are you watching us? We love knowing that our stories reach hearts all over the world.